In this lesson, we will learn how to answer a pie chart question in writing task 1. To do this, I will take a sample question and solve it step by step. Let's have a look at the sample question which says, the pie chart below shows the different types of smartphones used by people in Canada for the years 2015 and 2020. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. The two pie charts represent the proportion of Canadians who use different types of smartphones in 2015 and 2020. The charts compare the data for the iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, Windows smartphones, as well as those who did not use any smartphones. To answer this type of question, we will make a quick draft. Here we will write an introduction, an overview, body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2. In the introduction paragraph, we will paraphrase the question, and in the overview paragraph, we will write about the overall trend or the most noticeable features in the given pie charts. And for the body paragraphs, we will first analyze the graph, then we will plan how to group the information for body paragraphs. In the first body paragraph, I will group information about the smartphone users with the highest percentage. By looking at the first pie chart, we can see that BlackBerry and Android had the highest percentage of users. So I will write about BlackBerry and Android in the first body paragraph. For the second body paragraph, I will write about the other three categories which have the lowest percentage as compared to the other two. Now I will start adding notes to the draft. In the first pie chart, I can see that BlackBerry phone users were 46% in 2015 and Android phone users were 33%. I will write, in 2015, BlackBerry phone users were 46% and in the same year, Android phone users were 33%. Then I can see that in 2020, BlackBerry phone users decreased from 46% to 4% and Android phone users decreased from 33% to 25%. I will write, in 2020, BlackBerry decreased from 46% to 4%, and in the same year, Android dropped from 33% to 25%. Now in the second body paragraph, we can see that iPhone users were 8% in 2015, Windows Phone users were 7%, and the people who did not own any phones were 6%. I will write, in 2015, iPhone users were 8%, Windows Phone users were 7%, and people who did not own any phones were 6%. Now we will compare this data with the second pie chart. We can see that in 2020, iPhone users increased from 8% to 51%, Windows Phone users increased from 7% to 15%, and people who did not own any phones decreased from 6% to 5%. I will write, in 2020, iPhone users increased to 51%, Windows Phone user increased to 15%, and people who did not own any phones decreased to 5%. Let's start by writing a task 1. I will begin with the introduction paragraph by paraphrasing the question. I will write, the following pie charts illustrate the various types of cell phones used between 2015 and 2020 by the Canadian population. And for the overview paragraph, we will write about the overall trend or the most noticeable features in the given pie chart. So by comparing the two pie charts, it is clearly seen that BlackBerry had the majority of Canadian users in 2015, which were moved to the iPhones by 2020. I will write it as, overall, the majority of Canadians have switched from using BlackBerry smartphones, which were highly favored in 2015, to using iPhones by 2020. After that, I'm going to start writing my first body paragraph. Considering the draft, I will write about BlackBerry and Android phone users in the year 2015. I will write, to begin with, BlackBerry phones were the most popular among Canadians in 2015, with 46% preferring them, while Android phones were the second most popular device used by one-third of the Canadian population. Then I will show how their proportions changed from the year 2015 to 2020. I will write, in contrast, BlackBerry phone users declined significantly over the next half decade, and by 2020 it was the least popular smartphone chosen by Canadians, accounting for only 4% of the total. I will continue to write. Also, the popularity of Android phones dropped by 8%, reaching one quarter of the population. Afterwards, I will write the second body paragraph in which I will write about the smartphone with the lowest percentage of users in 2015. Here I will explain the trend of iPhone users, Windows smartphone users, and the percentage of people who did not use any smartphones from 2015 to 2020. Firstly, I will explain the trend of iPhone users, which increased from 8% to 51%. I will write it as, however, in 2015, just 8% of Canadians used iPhones, but by 2020, iPhones had surpassed all other smartphones and became the most popular gadget among half of Canada's population. Then I will explain the trend of Windows phones and those who without phones. I will write, furthermore, in 2015, only 7% of Canadians used Windows phones, whereas 6% did not own any smartphones. In comparison, the number of Canadians who used Windows phones rose by 8% and the proportion of people who did not use smartphones reduced by 1% in the next 5 years. So this is all about writing a pie chart question. With some practice, you'll be able to attempt this task. So good luck and keep practicing.